Welcome to NFL week number 14 of the Sports Phenom Show, the best damn sports betting show on the planet, where you get all of my capping insight and picks on every game in under 30 minutes. No boring gibberish, only the main points that need to be said, and no commercials, just the way we like it. I am the owner of sportsbettingphenoms.com, better known as the Phenom, World Series of Handicapping Champion. I run the only site on the planet where all of our cappers had to go through a rigorous qualifying process, all of which did so with at least a 60% record and unprecedented units of profits, max lines of minus 150, different tier levels based on each capper's performance, where all results are fully documented from day one, and all of our packages are 100% guaranteed to profit. No one else offers what we do at more than reasonable pricing and unprecedented results that you simply can't get anywhere else. Okay, folks, so let's start off with a quick recap of last week's results. Overall, I did it again, going 8-4 on all the selections I gave you. I continue to deliver unprecedented results, and you're getting it all for free. Absolutely free to top it all off right here on this recording, so congratulations to you all there. The only thing that disappointed me last week just happens to be the same thing that's been disappointing me the last few weeks, and that's in regard to all these missed field goals. It just simply refuses to end, doesn't it? I'm speaking in particular to my Money 5 pick on the Baltimore Ravens. Who's kicker? We all know him. One of the best in the game. Soon to be Hall of Famer, Justin Tucker. Yet for whatever inconceivable reason, this guy has no clue how to make a kick anymore. And I'm not talking about 50-plus yard attempts. I'm talking about all of his kicks, all of them. No matter 50-plus, 40-plus, 30-plus, or just simply a chip shot extra point. He's missing everything. So much so he's costing his team games, and he's costing me money. I also had this happen when I took them just a few weeks ago. This time around, he misses 7 points worth on 3 misses. And of course, the Ravens only lost by 5. And same 3 weeks back, if you remember, against Pittsburgh, where they lost by 2, he missed 9 points worth of field goals. 3 that game, 3 this game. I mean, even if he just made one of those 3 in that game against Pittsburgh, they would have won. So that's 2 losses in their last 3 games for the Ravens because of Justin Tucker. Seriously. I mean, Baltimore, let's face it, is the type of team that if they plan on going anywhere in the playoffs, have to make their damn kicks. They have no chance otherwise. They play a lot of close games. They can't rely on the offense to blow teams out. I mean, who have they blown out? Anybody? No. So they have to get the kicks. And that's how they've been successful over the years. It's their special teams, and specifically, their kicking. That's why. That's why Justin Tucker is an all-star and guaranteed Hall of Famer and gets paid the big bucks, mind you. But all of a sudden, he can't make a damn kick. I get that it's probably in his head. It happens to all kickers. But come on, man. This is a guy who nearly is automatic. So how can you go from automatic nearly your whole life to can't make a kick all of a sudden? So bad he's missing extra points now. It's crazy. Anyways, too much time talking about that, but it's so prevalent right now in the NFL and so prevalent towards the picks that I'm making on Baltimore that's driving me nuts. So I got to mention it. It's causing us losses. So it's venting me up. So I might have to consider passing on Baltimore games just because of that. How ridiculous is that? That we have to possibly stop capping on Baltimore games just because of their damn kicker. And it's Justin Tucker to top it all off. Or maybe I'll just have to tease Baltimore. With teases, we'd be covering on them. But definitely something I'm thinking about and considering moving forward. Now, the other game that really pissed me off last week was the New York Jets. Okay, admittedly, I said last week that if they lost, it would be on me. I'd come out here and I'd say that it was on me, and it definitely is on me. It's my bad, because I've probably gone to the well, or not even probably anymore. I did go to the well one too many times with the Jets. Love their name, love the Jets, Jets thing, but they're anything but this year. They're a burnt engine. They're a rundown old plane at this point, and Aaron Rodgers has got to go. How can you have blown that game? I bit myself in the ass, absolutely no doubt about it. What kills me, though, is it was the right cap. Again, it was right for me to go to the well one more time. They had a 21-7 lead on the 10-yard line of the Seattle Seahawks, about to take another huger lead by getting at least a field goal or a touchdown in that possession on the 10-yard line, about to blow them out. You're up 21-7. Another touchdown makes it 28-7. And what does he do? What does Aaron Rodgers do? He throws an absolute, I don't know what, beach ball of a throw, let's call it, to a 300-pound defensive lineman who somehow ran 98 yards. A pick six for 98 yards to come back all the way, get the touchdown, and instead of it being 28-7, a huger, bigger, commanding lead in that game, so much so that I believe it would have buried the Seahawks, at least mentally at that point. But as our luck would have it, we had to endure watching Rodgers throw an unbearable beach ball of a throw to a 300-pound defensive lineman who somehow, some way, finds a way to run nearly 100 yards for a pick six and completely change the momentum of the game. The twists and turns of an NFL game in 2024, right? Just the way it goes sometimes. And because of that, for the second straight week, I end up going 8-4 instead of 10-4. I want that 10-4. Or excuse me, 10-2. Instead of 8-4, we would have went 10-2. That's 2 weeks in a row. I end up 8-4, but could have easily went 10-2. Drives me nuts. I mean, I guess I shouldn't be complaining, right? But I'm just that type of guy. I mean, no one else would be complaining. I get it. But that's the passion that I have for winning. And I want to win every single game. Just the way I am. And when bad beats like these prevent me from that 10-2 versus 8-4, it just aggravates me. That little bit extra. And this also leads me to the reminder of what it means to be a client of mine. To those of you that are, an extra congrats to you as I gave out my 3-team 10-point teaser of the year on Detroit, the LA Chargers, and Cincinnati, and also a second 3-team 10-point teaser of the month on the LA Rams, Cincinnati, and Baltimore. Now, if you note, in both of those teasers, 2 out of the 3 teams wouldn't have covered the ATS spread, but they covered the teaser. At this time of the year, and with these types of things going on, like with the kickers and stuff, it's smart to do these teasers. This is the benefit of getting information from me come Sunday morning when I put some final thought into the official plays that I want to release. It's early here in the week now when I'm getting this podcast out, so it's my initial thoughts. But again, being a client will provide you that little bit extra bonus of getting the best of the best quality information from me in the last minute. That's a prime example of it. These 2 3-team 10-point teasers. First time I've released 2 big plays like that here this season. And it definitely paid off, especially in those Baltimore and Cincinnati plays. So again, congrats to you all there. Dime players walked away with a cool 10 grand, as both of those were ranked 5-star plays. Dime players putting 5 dimes on each, and easy pickings, easy money in the bank, like taking candy from a baby, like reading tomorrow's newspaper today. They are laughing all the way to the bank as they look forward now to this week's action. So if you're a high roller or just simply a serious gambler looking to take his sports investing to the next level, reach out to me. Reach out to my email, sportsgamblingphenom@gmail.com. And let me help you make that happen. The proof is in the pudding right here on these videos. I do not and will not disappoint. Now, let's get to this week's action, starting with a hell of a Thursday night matchup. Undeniably the best Thursday night game of the season, of the year. Green Bay at Detroit. Wow. And by the way, this is going to be included, this selection, in part of a teaser, officially as part of my Money 5 upcoming. Let me give you the details first. It's very difficult to beat a team twice in the same season. That's what Detroit's going to be trying to do here in this one against the Packers. And especially hard to beat a team twice in the same season when you're talking about heated historic rivals like these 2 teams are. Green Bay lost, if you remember, to Detroit 4 weeks ago. And it was a relatively close game, even though the Packers lost by 10 at home. That game, by the way, listen to this, is the only loss that Green Bay has had in their last 8 games. Wow. How crazy is that? That's how good Green Bay is this year and how good they've been all season long. And that's how good they're just becoming. How much better they're becoming. What a team this is going to be in years to come. And it simply speaks volumes that they've only lost this one game to Detroit in these last 8. So for the strength of their team and overall season they are having, this is something that you really need to put into consideration when they're coming head-to-head again now with Detroit in this match, in this spot. So with that said, I expect a close game here. Look at the Bears last week, who lost against Detroit only by a field goal. They could have even really actually had a chance there to win it at the end, right? At least tie it. So it's not like it's impossible to take Detroit down to the wire. That McDonald flubbing the hut really cost the Bears. And Bears have been doing that, I think, 3 straight weeks in a row now where they had a chance to win at the end. Another one, unfortunate for them there. But again, it's not like the Lions aren't beatable. If you catch them on the right day, you have the right game plan, you've got a chance. And if there's any team that can do it, a revenge-minded Green Bay team whose only loss, as I said already a couple times, in the last 8 games is against this team, against the Detroit Lions. So I'm going to lean here on the Packers, but we're going to put them in the 7-point tees. The line is perfect for it. At plus 3.5, we're going to take it up to 10.5, and I'll match them with another team upcoming, so stay tuned for that. Next game, Atlanta at Minnesota. Well, Atlanta enters this one on a 3-game losing streak, quickly falling out of playoff contention here. They were looking good before that 3-game losing streak, but things have started to go down a bit here since then, and they're desperately now seeking a victory if they want any hopes of keeping those playoff hopes alive. So, on the other hand, we have the Vikings here who are sitting at more than a content 10-2 record. And I don't have a strong opinion here, unfortunately. But in consideration of what I just said, I'm going to lean here ever so slightly to the more desperate team. Again, they haven't been playing well, but Atlanta, they need this one bad. And I believe there's more than enough points here to work with and keep this close to get us the cover. Probably going to come down to the wire, in all honesty, just like it did last week for Minnesota against Arizona, and I expect the same type of game here and result when all is said and done. So again, ever so slight lean to Atlanta in this game. Next game, New Orleans and the New York Giants. So we've reached our first vomit game of the week. Does anyone even care? Just like the other vomit game that's upcoming here this week with the Jacksonville, Tennessee cap I'm going to have for you. This is probably going to be the quickest game I ever cap because of it. I'm just simply going to take the points. Who are the Saints to be laying more than a field goal to any professional NFL team? I don't care who they are. Sure, the Giants might even suck more than the Saints do, but they're at home. We're getting some decent amount of points here, so just for that reason, I'm going to have a lean here on the Giants. Next game, Jacksonville and Tennessee. And I just finished talking about the first vomit game of the week, New Orleans and New York Giants. Here's the other one, Jacksonville and Tennessee. I don't even know which one's more vomiting, to be honest with you. I mean, again, who is going to be watching this game? Who even cares? I'm not even sure the fans on both of these teams will even care enough to watch or tune in. I know I wouldn't be. Added, we don't even know if Trevor Lawrence is starting or not, just to add to it. So along with not watching this game, why would anyone especially want to bother wagering on it? You don't know if Trevor Lawrence is playing or not. So finally, as most of you who listen to my videos know, I also don't take any more games involving Tennessee. So unfortunately, this one's just going to be a simple pass for me. Next game, Vegas and Tampa Bay. Well, this line is ridiculous. How is a 6-6 Tampa Bay team who almost lost to Carolina last week? Yeah, they almost lost to Carolina. If it wasn't for the fact that they were down, I think with just less than a minute ago, we were able to get a field goal to tie it, and then ended up winning in overtime. That's what it took for Tampa Bay to get by Carolina last week. And on the other hand, I get the Raiders here who suck. But it's not like they aren't showing up, right? I mean, last week, a good example of that, and they nearly beat the Super Bowl champs. They really should have. They should have won. it wasn't for that McDonald hut mishap, whatever you want to call it. So, come on, Vegas. Really? Tampa Bay should not be favored by this much. As much as I hate it, you've got to take the points here with Vegas. Next game, Cleveland and Pittsburgh. Now, this game is also going to be part of my Money 5 and a teaser. I'm going to have 2 teasers this week, and this is the first half of that second teaser. So keep that in mind. Make a note of that, and I'll explain here as we go. All right, so as for this game, I'm pretty sure the Steelers are, what's the right word? Salivating, I would say, at avenging the Thursday night loss they had a couple weeks back to the hands of the Cleveland Browns. Remember that? When Pittsburgh was rolling, and the Cleveland Browns gave them their first loss since Russell Wilson took over the QB helm. So I believe they're going to be able to do just that, win this game, the Steelers. But what I don't like is this near touchdown line. These two teams traditionally play close games, field goal games, and Cleveland is playing much better since Jameis Winston took over for Deshaun Watson. I think that's quite clear and quite obvious. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to do a 2-team 6-point teaser, and we're going to match them up with another game upcoming. Again, this is going to be your first half of that second teaser. 6-point. Take Pitt down to -0.5. Next game, Carolina at Philadelphia. Wow. First thing that I noticed right away in this one was the incredibly high line. The incredible high spread of almost 2 touchdowns? Really? Has anyone even seen how well the Panthers are playing as of late? Maybe not, since we're not really caring to check in on Carolina Panther games, but they have been playing a lot better, to say the least. They almost beat the Bucs last week. It was just that close, went to overtime. And how about the Super Bowl champs a couple weeks back that they also lost by only a field goal? That's 2 straight. Incredible performance in consideration to the type of season the Carolina Panthers have had, right? So fair to say that Carolina is playing some of their best ball of the season. They even had 2 wins before that, before these 2 close games against Kansas City and Tampa Bay. So that's 4 very solid, impressive starts for Bryce Young in his return, and 4 very solid games for the team itself. I mean, I would have thought that Bryce Young was done. I'll admittedly say right here, right now, that I may be wrong in the fact that I thought he could even potentially be done with Carolina and have to move on to another team, and his career was on the line. But that hasn't been the case. He has anything but packed it in, and so has this team. Maybe the benching actually really did him some good, because he's looked really good since returning. So when I put that all into play here, don't you think the line is a bit high? You also have a Philadelphia team coming off their big win last week, and they've had a nice run here as of late, absolutely no doubt about it. I mean, I think it's a classic letdown spot, in all honesty. And not just letdown, but a sandwich spot, because, again, they're coming off that huge win against the Ravens. And look who they have on deck. The Steelers. You don't think they're looking ahead to that one? There's not much here for Philadelphia to get motivated about, to take Carolina too seriously. Carolina's playing a hell of a lot better over the last 4 games. This is just simply way too many points for me. I am going to take the Carolina Panthers. Next game, the New York Jets and Miami Dolphins. Now, this one's going to be the second half of that second teaser that I mentioned you. That one was on Pittsburgh that we started it off with. 2 teams, 6-point teaser. I'm going to match them up with Miami here in this one. So your 2-team 6-point teaser will be on Pittsburgh and Miami, both after you take the 6 points down to -0.5. So Miami's season is on the line here in this one. If it hasn't been almost every game this season already. They're coming off the thrashing in the cold tundra of Green Bay, which makes it that much even bigger. Have really no choice here. They have to win. While the Jets, who screwed me royally last week, we went through that already. They're pretty much now officially out of the playoff race. Maybe not mathematically, but in my books and pretty much everybody else's books, they're done. The Dolphins are the only way to go here then. But again, we're going to put them in the teaser with Pittsburgh. So Pittsburgh, Miami, 2-team, 6-point teaser. That's going to be part of my Money 5 selections. Next game, Seattle and Arizona. And this is my first Money 5 side selection of the week. Okay, I love this spot for Arizona. Not only is it a revenge game from just a couple weeks back, if you remember, where the Hawks held them to their lowest point total of the season with just 2 lousy field goals in that game. I think it's fair to say that that's more than likely not going to happen here in this one, especially with Arizona at home. Whereas Seattle was coming off a big come-from-behind victory against the Jets. We all know what happened there. Where if they didn't get that pick 6 against Aaron Rodgers when they're already down 21-7, and it was nearly a 100-yard pick by a defensive lineman to top it all off, then I believe they were well on their way to probably getting blown out in that game. So, lucky win for them there. Overall, though, they are not impressing me. And that's why I'm on Arizona in this one. Take Arizona on the money line. It might very well be one of my favorite picks of the week. Arizona outright. Next game, Chicago and San Francisco. Okay, so I initially liked San Francisco here, but 2 things now have swayed me off this pick. First, the word is that Christian McCaffrey now is out again for the season. He didn't start the season with the injury that he had. Came back, looked like the old Christian McCaffrey, and now here we go again. He got hurt, and he's out for the season. And if that wasn't bad enough news for this already season-long injury-riddled Niners team, more word here out of the Niner camp is that McCaffrey's backup, Mason, will also be out for this one. So now they're going to be down to forcing them to go to their 3rd stringer, their 3rd string running back. And on the other side here, we have a Bears team who's got to be one of the unluckiest teams when it comes to losing close games. Like, I think the last 3 have all been by 3 points or less. And that obviously didn't go down well with management, as the firing right after happened after last week's game. I think it was more so because of that absolute joke of the last 30 seconds the Bears had in their game where they didn't even call a timeout and somehow barely got the playoff that ended the clock. They didn't even get a field goal to try to tie. It's just, it was comical, to be honest with you. So, yeah, it was firing worthy for sure. But now they got a new coach, and with San Francisco's season, looks like it's just coming to a complete crash. Just an absolute terrible injury-riddled season for them. I'm going to actually surprise you here and lean towards the Bears. I like them to play well for their coach here and Who knows? Maybe even sprinkle a little on the money line. This should be a close one. Lean towards the Bears. Next game, and we've reached another Money 5 selection. Buffalo and the LA Rams. And I think you might be a little surprised who I like in this game. So here's the thing. The Bills are coming off 2 huge wins against the Super Bowl champs. If you remember, big win over Kansas City. They gave Kansas City their first loss of the season. And then they followed it up with an absolute beating of the injured, riddled San Francisco 49ers. Now, this time, though, they have to travel all the way from the Northeast to the Southwest against an LA Ram team that's back in the playoff mix. They've now won 2 of their last 3 and 5 of their last 7. So it's quite clear that they have righted the ship, got back in contention, and are making a move here in the latter part of the season. One of those wins, by the way, in the last 7 was a 10-point victory over the Vikings. So it's not like they're just beating average teams. So this one, when you put it all together here, it looks like a classic letdown spot for Buffalo. It's got it written all over it. And, if I can add, it especially has a sandwich spot written all over it, with the Bills having the mighty Detroit Lions on deck. Wow, never thought I'd be calling the Detroit Lions mighty, but that's exactly what they are here this season, and what now they've become. And what a game that will be. Possibly the best game of the year, no? Definitely as a fan anyway. So with that in mind, again, classic letdown spot, classic sandwich spot here for Buffalo. And you've got a momentum-minded, motivated LA Ram team that's going to be salivating at this nationally televised Sunday night game to take advantage, show the world that they are a team to be reckoned with, and take Buffalo down to the wire in a close game. They could even possibly pull out the shocker. Not sure about it, but definitely think it's a field goal game here, folks. So I absolutely love the LA Rams. That's another Money 5 selection. Next game, LA Chargers at Kansas City. And this is yet another Money 5 selection. And I love it. This is another game that I love. Now, it looks like Vegas is finally, that's the key word, finally starting to realize that Kansas City does not deserve to be these big double-digit favorites. And they finally cut the line down to a more respectable line here in this one, although I still think it's too high. My power numbers only had Kansas City favored by 2.5. Vegas has them at 4.5. I actually think it opened early on at 6.5. So again, a little bit better. They're not 9.5 or anything crazy like that, like Vegas has been doing in other games, but I believe that we're getting a steal of a deal here still on the dog line. Kansas City has to be the biggest horseshoe team of the entire NFL. I think we all agree on that. You know how I feel about them having both the refs and the league in their back pockets. But that still can't stop a better team from beating them like Buffalo did a couple weeks back. I told you that Buffalo would give them their first loss of the season, and it happened. And listen up, folks. I predict that LA is not going to only cover this game, but I actually like them to give Kansas City their first home loss of the season. Kansas City is not that great, folks. They are not a good team. They just have everything going for them, including horseshoe, refs, and the league. Yes, that'll win them games. But look what happened against Buffalo. LA Chargers is a good team. It's a rivalry. I expect the LA Chargers to take it down to the wire, and if they have the last possession, they can beat them. Love it. We're getting the points, though, regardless. Big points. Take it. Field goal game. Win or lose. LA Chargers. Next game. Cincinnati at Dallas, and this will conclude our Week 14 selections. This is the Monday Nighter. How shitty is that? How is it that the league allowed these two losing teams, crap teams, to still be featured as the Monday night game? You couldn't flex this game out? What are you doing, NFL? Come on. It's beyond me that this is still the Monday Nighter this week. Whatever. First, let's talk about Cincinnati, who has to go down as probably the biggest disappointments this season. I've been riding them throughout the season, looking for that big righting of the ship that they usually do, as they are traditional slow starters. Then around midpoint, they start getting it together, and then they ride high into the playoffs. And a team to be reckoned with usually every season. And in those playoff runs also. But this year it's been anything but. They've got off to that slow start as they usually do, and they haven't righted the ship at all. Actually, it's been so bad. They're sitting with only 4 wins. 4-8. Who would have thunk that? Definitely got to be the biggest disappointment of the season. These Cincinnati Bengals. And not far behind them are the 5-win Dallas Cowboys. That's another argument of who could be one of the worst disappointments of the season. Now, of course, I know people are going to say, well, it's mainly because of Dak Prescott getting injured, but really? Is that a good argument? They were shit to begin with. Their defense has been crap. And speaking of defense, that's probably been the biggest disappointments of both of these two teams, because Cincinnati's been putting up points. Actually, I think Cincinnati is one of a few teams in NFL history that have lost 4 games already over 12 weeks, 13 weeks, 12 games, that have lost 4 games putting up over 30 points. Think about that for a second. 4 games they've lost while putting up over 30 points. And we all know some of the thrashings Dallas has had on defense here this week. So that leads me to my pick in this one. I don't like the side. I don't know. Can Cincinnati actually have a good game? Maybe. But they haven't. Every time you think they're going to, they don't. Dallas looked a little better last week, but they could get crushed. They might actually be able to squeeze another one out. Parsons thinks they're going to have a run. I don't think so. So there's too many questions here on the side. The right play here, smart play, sharp play is on the over. Both defenses can't be trusted. What motivation do they have left here in this game? Do they really care? Maybe. They'll try their best, but they're not good defenses regardless. So let's take the over here as my final play of Week 14. Again, Cincinnati, Dallas, best bet total over. Okay, now let's recap the Money 5 for Week 14. And I've also got a bonus pick for you. For the first time this season, it's going to be the Money 5 plus 1 extra bonus to make it 6 total selections. First, your 3 side selections of the week. 1 favorite on Arizona on the money line. An underdog on the LA Rams plus 4.5. The third one, also an underdog on the same line with the LA Chargers plus 4.5. Now, the fourth one is going to be one of the 2 teasers I'm giving out here this week. This one, a 2-team 7-pointer on Green Bay. Take the Thursday nighter against Detroit and move them up to plus 10.5 and bump Arizona, one of the side selection picks, bump them up from 2.5 up to 4.5. Again, Green Bay plus 10.5, Arizona plus 4.5, the first of 2 teasers. The other teaser and the final Money 5 selection will be the 2-team 6-point teaser I gave you on Pittsburgh. Take them down from 6.5 to a -0.5. And also Miami, take them down from 6.5 down to a half. So Pittsburgh and Miami in the 2-team 6-point teaser there. Finally, to that bonus pick here, it's another teaser. Back to the second and third pick. LA Rams plus 4.5 and LA Chargers plus 4.5. Bump them both up 7 points. And then you've got the LA Rams plus 11.5, and you've got the LA Chargers plus an 11.5. That was very close to being a money 5, so I just thought I'd throw it in as a bonus pick. It's definitely worthy of being in conversation with those other 5 picks. So a 2-team 7-point teaser, bonus teaser of the week on the LA Rams plus 11.5 and the LA Chargers plus 11.5. Okay, so that'll do it here, folks, for week number 14. I am the Phenom, wishing you all an amazing week. Let's get this money. See ya.